Okay. I'm going to switch that intro starting screen. It's a cool idea. But now that I got the camera up there, I'm like, all right, I'm tired of everybody seeing my receding hairline. But today we want to kind of go through, it's going to be probably a shorter stream. But the big thing, I got to coding last night a little bit, and there's things that happen in Linux that I spend a lot of time on and have spent a lot of time on in the past, 5-6 years. And I typically go back through and I spend this equal amount of time on it later on when I tackle the same issue. And that drives me crazy. And I think a lot of people, maybe you understand the purpose of the Linux utility, maybe you don't. Maybe I haven't really made it clear, but it was to simplify tasks in Linux. So when I go into the Linux toolbox, D4, thank you for the tier 1. I look at this and I want it to be all the crap I do in Linux with one push of the button. And that's it. So if there's something that takes you a long time that you do all the time in Linux, it's going to eventually make it into here because I probably do the same thing. And last night I was playing a game, Diablo 2 Resurrected. Game doesn't matter, but there was certain setup that needed to be done to mod it out. Now, this specific part of the game, now most people are like, you can mod Diablo 2 Resurrected. Yes, you can. It's a Blizzard game. And they actually put like this nice little GUI, well, it's like a JSON wrapper on top of to lay out all the GUI components, and it uses like sprite files. I kind of did like a deeper dive on it. I know I'm gonna get in the weeds here, but hear me out. It's kind of cool to where when I do mod a game out, I want to make just an automation script to do the exact same thing, because there's certain things that I do, I'm just like, man, this would be so much better and more people would do it if they didn't have to spend 12 hours sitting here like going through and learning about all this crap. If they could just push a button and just have it all work, that'd be kind of cool. And there's many aspects that happens, whether it's game modding, whether it's automating Arch installs, to just doing all the things. That's the big thing about the Linux utility is I want to automate it. Not for you, but for me. Like I'm tired of doing these things in Linux whenever I do something. And I just want it to work really fast. So it's more of a selfish thing. And then if other people benefit from it, great. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. So as I got doing it last night, I was like, oh, I'm just going to see how hard it is to make a whole new automation. And it's actually a lot easier thanks to all the contributors. So it's kind of neat to see these things. So kind of want to show you what I've been up to, where it's pretty wild. And you might be like, oh my God, Titus, you doing this seems a little excessive, but I'm telling you, it's pretty awesome. What do we got? Let's see what we got. Let me first show you what I've done. I think that's where we'll start. Let's go into Linux utility. Let's do a poll. Let's switch main, get poll. All right, cool. We're up to date. Let's come on over to cursor probably, just to kind of show you the new layout and model of it. And so here's the directories on the startup of Linux 2 utility. So when we go cargo run, let's do a quick build of it. These are the different layouts, and I can add as much as we want over here. And I added a gaming section for Diablo 2 Resurrection, mainly just to add like a loot filter and then change like the GUI. And I like to use the controller on it because usually I want to turn my brain off when I'm playing that game. And what this looks like in here is I made a little bash script. It basically culls, finds the path for the wine bottle for Diablo 2 Resurrected, selects that path using an array, grabs it in, and then it downloads and clones my other D2 loot filter, right here. This is all the customizations from JSON files to custom sprites I have, just every modification you can do in the game. So the base game, let's just wipe it out. I want to just try it real fast for y'all. So let's come into here, go into games, and we're going to go in BattleNet, Drive C. This is the wine bottle. We'll go into direct Diablo 2. And I'm just going to delete this mods directory. We're just going to trash it, right? So then when I'm over here and I run it, it should cull the entire system. It's going to look for something drive_C, program files x86, Diablo 2, and then it's going to present options. Typically, you're only going to have one option because I made it a very specific regex to grab all these things. So then it grabs it, downloads the latest lootfilter.zip file, installs that, and then you have all the customized goodness of it all. So check this out. And you do need to add this into the loot filter, basically the mod. So let's launch Lutris. And the whole purpose of this is to just say Linux can be easier than Windows when done right. It's just nobody ever does it right. So you always end up spending like 10 more hours in Linux than you do Windows setting things like this up. But with this type of framework, we can build it to where it doesn't take forever. So that's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose of this framework, to save me and everyone else that uses Linux just a ton of time. So let's go game settings. Okay, cool. So then we got the mod in, and then we're just going to hit play real fast. And then we should see some of the customized like loot filter and such. We'll know real fast if the mod's working. And we'll go online. All right. Aurelius. And pull this up. And I just want to see if it loads, and then we'll dump out of the game once that's done. So, oh God, I'm in Act 3. So we'll go over here. We can see already down here, got like customized GUI HUD. That's like a custom sprite. So I can tell you right now, if we go over here, then we got the color coding of runes. So you got low runes, mid runes, and then like your higher tier runes over here. So that's all good. And then finally, let's see, you drop one of these on the ground. Got a nice little pickup sound. Perfect. So just in case like something happens in game, you're not going to miss like a big rune drop. Because that sucks. You know, that's the whole purpose of like Diablo 2. You're playing the same content like 1,000 times over, repetitively. And I just wanted to make some customization so I don't miss out on something that might take 100 hours to grind for. Because that would suck. So that's the mod itself. Really basic. And the change to it. So, sweet. That's the idea of the modification. What's the best way to overwrite a whole line of echo and replace it with a new one? Well, like, you don't want to echo typically like a menu. One of the big things I like to do when making menus is usually an independent function. Like right here, the print menu does this. But you'll notice during the select path, you have the case for the read, but you can actually do some really cool shenanigans with the console itself. When, like when you do a down or an up arrow right here, you can see the selection. Oh, I didn't do it here, did I? I was pretty late. It was like 1 a.m. when I was doing this. I probably would do this a little different. Right now, that print menu clear. So the best way to show a really good menu is probably in the setup, server setup. This one, you can see when we're doing it, this read RSN right here, and when we're pulling the select option, see this special echo command? This basically pins the options. And then when we're moving the options down here with the keys, I believe we should be doing it pretty seamlessly to where you don't have, you're not constantly having to clear the screen and then reprint it. So you don't have that flicker. because that kind of annoying. But there's a lot of different ways to do like custom bash menus and things. So anyways, that's kind of the first thing with the automation, was just kind of showing this, adding a new gaming section and modification. So anytime I'm modding out a game in Linux, let's say it was like Skyrim or something like that, I'm going to just probably add a setup script to just make it automated. Because I really hate when I'm on it, and I specifically do it for one task, and really one task only these days. When I'm on my Steam Deck, I really like controller-based inputs. So I like to mod games to make controllers viable or improve the viability of controllers in the game itself. Specifically with like D2R, I really liked adding a lot more clarity, and I kept finding myself having a tab or open like Chrome or something like that to look up like rune words in game. And I made like little cheat sheets and changed some of the sprites and spent probably way too much time doing that crap. But I don't ever want to leave the game to look up something like that. So I'd rather just have it like in game as like a custom help menu. And a lot of like how D2R is structured is you can do that, which is neat. How do you even use Linux with NVIDIA GPU? Everything is broken. I don't know how it's broken. I just use LTS. You were coding because you were lazy. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Diablo 2 Resurrected is D2R. That's short. But I did all this so I could just do a quick install on my Steam Deck and not have to do it. Because the Steam Deck kind of sucks. Because you have no keyboard mouse input by default unless you have like a docking station. And I don't like coming all the way into like the studio, plugging it into the docking station, and then loading it up on the screen and doing all that. So I like playing it in bed. So I want to make sure I have like an easy, okay, I made a little shortcut for my toolbox, and then I can just sit there and do it all through the Steam Deck. But I did want to actually look at this and just keep improving this. There's a couple pull requests I wanted to look at today as well in here. Specifically, I wanted to look NNYY. He did a bunch, and then LJ has a couple outstanding from like a couple weeks ago and last week. Like word wrap and some other stuff. I'm kind of on the fence about the word wrap on a preview menu, but we'll see. Daggers, thanks. Oh man, reset 1 month for tier 3. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Anyone use Steam Link? I don't know. Steam Link's really a thing anymore, but we could do like Raspberry Pi. Eventually, I do need to get going with that guy. Yeah, I have a Pi 5 here. This is the 8 gig RAM model, and I feel like that would be a pretty solid one to do. Might put that in the workout area actually, because I'm working on changing all my workouts to the other room. Steam Link is still pretty great. All right, cool. I think I still have one laying around somewhere. I just never use it. I like to kind of just build my own thing. Although I did have Titus Pi for a while. I probably need to revisit that project at some point in time. But I really do want to bring all my repos into WinUtil or LinuxUtil. So if I make something for Windows, I'm going to incorporate that. Like the next thing to incorporate in the Windows utility would be the PowerShell profile. Likewise, in the Linux realm, like my bash, DWM, those types of things, getting those built into Linux utility. That way I really only have 2 projects or 2 repos that I'm really looking at. Now there might be sub repos, but everything will be linked to these 2 main repos to where everything I do will be put into here, which would be kind of really cool. Did we ever fix the Arch Titus script, or does it still error out at the end? I feel like probably should look at that. I think we have, okay, there's this repo. So here's a couple pre-releases. Let's just trash this one. Got kind of same thing. Let's take a peek at this pre-release. This was done about 15 hours ago. So that tracks. And I wanted to see about pulling up a new system with it and see how we're doing on it. And I do need to do a new video on the main channel. Man, I haven't made a YouTube video in like 2 months. I'm such a slacker. Actually, I need to. Lucky I didn't punish me. It's definitely punished me. Like, I don't know. Um, I'm probably down about 50% of views, monetary AdSense and stuff. It's probably about 50% less. Yeah, I've lost a lot of money by just sticking to programming and this type of stuff. But, it's still enough to where I can make my bills and stuff. And I think it's way more rewarding. And I'm kind of banking on the ability to make an amazing utility and a program and then make one video on it. And not only, and I want it to be so good that I don't even need to make a video on it. I just need to say, hey, here's this new tool. I'll make a video. Sure, I'll get some views. But then I want other people to look at it and go, damn, now that's awesome. And then they can make a video on it. I think that's where the magic is. And I think that's what my main focus is, just to try and make the best damn program possible. And we can do that. All right, let's just delete this guy. Word of caution on your script. Some games will not run without AMVLK, but other games will run like crap with AMVLK because of Mesa. Yeah, I've noticed some inconsistencies with AMD. A lot of people like to trash NVIDIA. I was definitely one of these people, and it was really interesting. And I really, I think I really just like NVIDIA better because it sucks to set up, I think, initially. But once you get it going and you have like all your stuff in one spot, it just kind of works, and I don't have to worry about little nuances like that, which you do with AMD, and how much of a moving target it is. Like, a good example of this is NVIDIA released a crappy update. I think it was like 560. NVIDIA drivers 560 it was, and they had some regression and some problems with their latest update. I was like, well, that sucks to those people, but I'm on LTS, and I'm like, on a different kernel version or a different package version. Where like AMD, man, that's just patched right in to the kernel. So you kind of have to just roll with the punches or roll back your kernel. And that kind of sucks. So I think I've come around on the whole NVIDIA in Linux thing, where I used to just say, always roll AMD. Now I'm kind of an NVIDIA shill. I kind of don't want anything but NVIDIA. I don't know what happened to me, other than I just really want the most. I've gotten to the point where I just want everything as stable and reliable as possible. And for me, that's NVIDIA. I hate that. I really don't like that I said that out loud, but it's the truth. Did I see the latest Some Ordinary Gamers? Yeah, Muda made a video about how he's leaving Arch Linux. Well, it's kind of clickbait. I don't think he's leaving Arch Linux, let's be frank. He was just messing around with Hyper-V. And Hyper-V's cool and all, but Hyper-V's super jank. And honestly, it's not even used that much. It's still in development, so to speak. Like, they're still actively developing it, but it's not a main focus of Microsoft. And I want to say the scheduling in Hyper-V, CPU scheduling Microsoft's done with Windows 11 kind of sucks with Hyper-V. I think you're almost better off with Classic Scheduler last time I was tinkering with performance options in Hyper-V. But anyways, yeah, I watched some of his video, and I was like, oh, it's interesting. He really, really wants to commit to that. And oh, man, I think it's a fool's errand. Like, what he's doing is a bit silly. One, Hyper-V, it's okay for Windows users. And I get, like, if you want to do some kind of emulation and play, like, Xbox One games and crap, sure. But I would never roll Windows with Hyper-V on my main system. That just seems, I would just feel bad. I don't know how else to put it. And eventually, I think what he wants, like if we're looking at Muda and what he's going for, he's not gonna go to Windows with Hyper-V and go, oh, this is the promised land. That's not a thing. He might mess around with it for a little bit, but he'll be back to Arch in no time flat. And what he's really looking forward to is probably SRIOV, where you can possibly partition up your GPU properly. And I'm just waiting for more residential cards to actually support that. SRIOV's only been supported by just a couple of generations of, I want to say, AMD enterprise cards. But it's a really cool technology, and partitioning up GPUs, I don't see any downside to AMD or NVIDIA, really, for that matter. And that's what he's waiting on. And it'll be fine. But yeah, I saw the video from him, and I was like, oh boy. That's cute, but not something I would ever endorse. He ended the video saying he would never leave Arch and go back to Windows. It was just clickbait. Yeah, I could totally see that. I didn't make it into the video, but that was kind of the impression. As soon as I saw what he was doing, I was like, okay, I get it. I get what you're doing here. That's cool. It's all about money. AMD and NVIDIA don't like you sharing a cheaper GPU among more users. I don't know. I don't think there's really much money to be lost by adding that feature. I don't think there's much money to gain by adding the feature either. So they just, I think, are pretty indifferent, and they just don't care. Much like how game developers think of Linux desktop. They really just don't care. It's not even a thought. It's not even like, hey, I don't like it or I like it. It's more of like, yeah, it's not worth our time. And that's what most Linux desktop, let's say, for a good analogy. It's just most big companies just are indifferent on it because it doesn't move the needle either way. You can't use 2 GPUs because of RTX 4090 is big. Yeah, so that is a thing. The 4090 is massive. Now, you can do it. It just, you have to have a very specific system to do that. Now, I got this system basically to always have the capabilities of using 2 giant GPUs. And that's why I did this sponsorship with Super Workstations. Superworkstations.com. Check them out. I always feel bad because they sent me this massive system and I only did like 1 video, and I'm like, well, thanks for the $10,000 workstation, and look forward to working with you again. But the whole reason why I did that was specifically so I could use massive GPUs in this system and have tons of PCI lanes, and then I can partition up this one system however I see fit. And that's why I did that whole sponsorship. The whole YouTube really for me is it's a justification for my hobby. For the most part, like, ooh, that'd be cool, we should do that. And that has come back to bite me so many times. Like when I had that detour with 3D printers, and I was like, ooh, I always wanted to try a 3D printer, and I lost like a month of work because I detoured to 3D printers, and nobody, God, I wish I had that time back. So I'm getting very specific, hyper specific with my YouTube channel now, where I'm like, hey, I just want to develop Windows utility and Linux utility, and that's really the 2 things I want to do. Oh yeah, that's right, we're gonna do an Arch install real fast. I wanted to see if it still aired out on the Arch install. Let's go Arch. All right, let's choose that forward. Yeah, we'll just give it 10 gigs. Yeah, 20's fine. Customize, change this around. All right, let's do that. Yeah, I wanted to look. I got a couple reports in the Linux utility or issues that people were saying that it was airing out at the end of the Arch install. And I think I fixed it in the latest development branch, but I still need a test. So let's just, let's set font. Let's go tur v. Let's go 18b. And we'll just do a curl fizzle. ChrisTitus.com, Linux dev. Most people just use Linux instead of dev. You don't need to do that. Oh, it's still using, God bless it. It still has that JQ dependency. I gotta get rid of that. All right. Well, let's just grab JQ real fast. Let's go key in it. Sure. Oh, that's right. I forgot to download the new. It's September now. Oh, jeez. Oh, well. All right. Now let's fizzle the dev branch and we should be good. Giraffes and Lee, thank you for the subs. Giraffes with the resub 1 month for tier 1 and Lee from the Prime. Thanks, man. All right, here we go. So now we've got the new setup, there. Let's go Arch setup. We'll just do that. Test Arch. We'll just format this and go. It does feel a little faster now. Let's see how the install works. We're about 19 seconds into the install. Let's see how long. I should do a timer. A timer for the actual command run. I feel like that would be kind of cool. All right. So we're a little over a minute into the install now. I think this has gotten faster since the first time we did it. Made a couple optimizations, but I really wanted to see a green success at the very top. Even though it'll be fine even when it fails here, because most of the script's great. I want to say the CD at the end was causing it to show, I think it was like an exit 1 instead of an exit 0. So it was showing failure even though it was fine. So we're doing the microcode now. Any custom GPU drivers would be right after this microcode. And then I think that's about it. All right, we're about 2 minutes in. Should be wrapping up. Usually it's 2:30. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Success. So just do a reboot and we should have our Arch with a bio screen. There it is. Arch Linux install in 2 minutes. All right, great. So that works good. So that's great. Just realize you don't really read messages from YouTube. Oh, I do on occasion. It just depends. I don't read messages a lot in general. I think it was 35 pull-ups, Peter. On occasions. Yeah, it just depends. Now, I'm trying to think. A year ago, you got me into Linux sysadmin stuff. That led to me getting a network. A year later, I'm signing my first contract as a network engineer. Congrats. Oh man. Nah, pup, it wasn't me. I may have shown you the door, but it was you that walked through it and did the work. That's awesome, man. Okay. So, what do we have? Got this. We've got the basic setup. We got all the automation kind of in check. Is there anything else we want to go for? I think DWM install's kind of dicey here. Let's take a peek at, let's pull up like Cursor. I'm addicted to Cursor. I know. I'm just bad. Just like an LLM shill now. But God bless it. I love it to death. Just makes my life so much easier. Whew. Well, let's look at the DWM script. Needs some tweaking. Now, where did I put DWM? Oh, I put it in applications. All right. Oh, that's right. All right. First off, let's go ahead and make this the current release. I'm going to just delete this draft. And this is ready to go to the masses. This release is money. I like the Arch install. I like the little loot filter we added. Everything's gravy with this one. We're going to go, set that to latest release and update. Perfect. So this is the latest release on Linutil. Everything is gravy as of today. Now, for DWM, I feel like this whole setup needs to be done differently. I think instead of setup DWM, like here's the clone. So we have the setup right here. This just gets the dependencies. This right here is the setup tool. How do I want to approach this? Just to kind of automate this process, let's copy setup. We're going to go GitHub, Linutil, and this is in application setup is where we put this. I don't know if I like that location. So we have application setup, gaming, system setup. DWM's more of a system than an application. Well, I guess it's an application because you need the system there. I'm kind of torn. Yeah, the dependencies per distro, I think we're going to go. I don't want to do another setup here. Yeah, it's a window manager setup. I guess that's the system. I'm leaning towards system instead of application, but it is simply just a 100 kilobyte application. So I'm like, ugh. Depends. Is a desktop environment an application or a system? Desktop environment system, but because desktop environments encompassing like 20 or 30 applications. DWM is a window manager, which is simply an application. So actually, if we look at it, actually, it's an application. Yeah. So here's the setup. Here's the make. Oh, I don't like that. Let's just come here with this. Alrighty. So we're going to change some stuff. I know this is all jacked up, but so here's the packager, these tools. As you see, Debian would be completely different from here. So this setup is incorrect all around. So this needs to be apt. And if we look at apt here, oh, damn it. What is all of this? We're going to have to check this. I don't like that one bit. Yeah, this is wrong. I can tell you right now it's wrong. Looks like some LLM hallucinations like all over the place. Gosh. All right, well, whatever. Yum. And then we already have Arch up here. So this is where it gets fun. All right. This is all garbage. Nerd font. Oh, I like this. All right. I've also redesigned. I just did an update this weekend on this to change out the icons. Oh, actually. So then you got the nerd fonts. I kind of getting rid of the PyCon. Do we like PyCon animations? I know a lot of people like animations, but I ended up getting rid of them. I just got tired of it. I don't know why. Can we trick the LLM in making Chris break the system? Well, you don't need to trick an LLM to do that. You just let the LLM do all the heavy lifting and then it'll break it all on its own. That's the thing, is you just can never trust the darn thing. No, animation's too slow. I know, Peter, I agree with you. But I want the younger generation to use this as well. I think the animations would be good for them. Attractive. I'm going to leave the function there for now. Clone config folders. That's fine. Except these need to be pulled down separately. Toggle animations. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of animations. New kids use Hyperland. Yeah, you're right. You're right. New kids do just use Hyperland. DWM's not going to be attractive to those kids. For us old people, we'll probably get rid of it. I'm going to leave the function there for now, but we're probably going to dump it. Now for the config folders, I think we can do that. Then we got the backgrounds. So we'll do make directory pictures and then we're cloning on Nord background. Perfect, perfect. So we do that. We're not going to do that. Call function, really? 6, thanks for the tier 1. 6 months, all right, man. I do love streaming. It is the best. Getting to make this stuff live on stream, I can't imagine anything better than this. It really is the best of all worlds. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do here, let's just consolidate and see what we got. So here's our config background. I think the make and install of DWM. So you have that. This is kind of like secondary options. The setup needs some work. This, cloning it to DWM Titus. Yeah. Alrighty. So this is the make of it. So you do the sudo make clean install after here. Setup has to be before make. So setup make and then add all this extra crap with configs and stuff. So setup make. We'll do it at the right here. And this is all the residual stuff. Let's get rid of some of these white spaces. I feel like this is good. Okay. So the big thing that's the problem with this script now is we're missing a lot of dependencies. Specifically all this hallucination from so build essential is correct. This libx11 dev is fine. libxenorama dev is fine. libxft dev is fine. And I think this is actually okay. So a good test to this, what I like to do is just go DistroBox list. So we have a Debian and we have a Fedora. So we're gonna go DistroBox, enter, Debian, bookworm. Alrighty. And then we're gonna come back here and we're gonna grab build essential. I knows there, but just for, can we do multiple searches? I don't think you can. Yeah, it's not gonna allow you to do multiples, but let's just go through each one. So build essential should be there. Build essential, bam. And then we're gonna do libx11 dev. I know this is a little tedious. That's there. And then we're gonna do Xenorama dev. That's there. And then XFT. There's probably a faster way to check all these packages. I just can't think of it at the time. I think I'm a little sleep deprived myself. I've been sleeping great lately. It's all good. Yeah, all ours are great. So perfect. So now that's done. Let's go into distro box, enter Fedora. Apt list names. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Just Linux User. Do you think I can do the same with DNF? I wonder how much off. Okay, build essential I don't think is going to work over on this side because the build utilities or development utilities in Yum is completely different. So, like if we look at libx11, ooh, is there like a dash dev? Yeah, there's no dash dev branch on Fedora. So it'll just be libx11. No, I think chat is a little blurry, isn't it? It is blurry. Let's go transform. What do we got? Maybe I blew it up more. Oh yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yes, there we go. Now chat is perfectly. I think I blew it up and I messed the transformation up. That's why you're a little bit blurry for you. So for this, we can see Yum. I wonder why Yum. Why would that be DNF? It doesn't make any damn sense. Let's do DNF. All right. libx11. Ooh, is it Devil? I bet it might be Devil. Yeah, it's Devil. So then we'll check Xenorama and oops, all these guys. But the development tools are a little differently on Fedora. Just some weird nuance here. All right, that one's good. So we got Xenorama. Let's check XFT. Perfect. And then IamLib2. Ooh, there's one that's not there. This is why we check. Ah, so it's IamLib2 Devil. Gotta love that Linux standardization. It's always different with all the stupid distributions. Everyone's like, oh, you know what? Let's just change the name of all the packages. I call it Devil because it should be Dev, like a sane person, but it's made by the devil, Red Hat. So there, it's gonna get called Devil. I know I'm mispronouncing it. I'm just triggering all the Linux nerds. It's like GNOME. I'm gonna call it GNOME till the end of time. Actually, it's pronounced GNOME. Yeah, you sound stupid. I'm calling it GNOME. All right. Yeah. Let's go. Now, for DNF, yeah, that was it. Couldn't remember the exact command, but that's actually correct. So now we have this, the group install of development tools. That's like build essential, but for rel-based stuff. Then we have that. I'm not sure we want to do this. This is like just a recipe for disaster. Yeah, we'll just do an exit one and just call it failure at that point. Did you see PR 210 on Linutil? Let's see. I did want to look at, oh, this one. This is actually incorrect. Caleb. I was looking at it the other day. So the chronological right here, and then grabbing this into a different date. So you have the latest date for latest, but if this is built, if this is built using the dev branch, it's going to grab the date from the latest tag, which is actually incorrect for the dev branch. It's fine for the latest, but not this branch. So I see the error you're alluding to. We do need to fix that. Let's fix that real fast because that is a problem. Where's that at? List. Let's do some Rust here. Where are you at? Oh, we changed it, didn't we? Date. No results. Where was that? Not float. State, I think, is where it's at. Yeah, so update. Date. Update. Nope. 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 Where the hell is that? No date here. No date there. All right, let me track this down. We changed the structure of linutil a while back. Oh, there is no list RS. I think we got rid of it because everything got switched into TOML format. Not there. Running command, float block. Okay, this is just the running command. Yeah, we've been reorganizing a lot of the core structure. LJ, Alfonso, and a few others have kind of been going through Rust and doing that. Now, I don't think this one's actually being utilized or called anywhere in the program. I think we have a standing PR to implement that back. I'm just looking real fast, reassociating or reorienting. We got our handle key function, handling that. Here's our draw function. No, it might be, nope. I bet you it's in tabs. Yeah, I know it's in here. Where are you at? Oh, look for Linux Toolbox. Yeah, that's an easy way to do it. Brain's not working all out well, but that's okay. I think I'm going to have to cut out the caffeine, guys. I just feel it dragging on my mind. I think I'm ODing on caffeine too much. Unfortunate. State RS is where it's at. Here we go. So this right here, this needs to be hard-coded to the date at compile time. What the hell is that? That's not gonna work. Yeah, that's hilarious. Compile time date. What? Let's see. Can use the environment. Oh, it's a macro. Oh, it's a macro function. Environment macro function with a default value. Here's a concise fix. Do that. Ah, cool. Let's see that. Let's make sure it doesn't hallucinate and add a bunch of shit somewhere else. That's the thing you got to watch out whenever you use an LLM. Make sure we're just isolating into this line. That's still not right. I want to say to use the macro function, you got to use some kind of include at the top. In your build RS, chronological. Yeah, so we already have chrono, but in the build RS, there we go. This is the solution. I'm going to type this in because I don't trust it. So let's come into build RS. All right, I'm looking. I'm thinking. Let me cook here. I don't want to screw this up, but I like it. I like where we're going with it. And if we look at the TOML, we should already have chrono. Chrono's there. This is where we need to do it. So I want to pass this. So let's use standard environment, right? And then we also want to use chrono, but we want to pass this for the compile time. So this is doing the println macro, cargo rerun with source commands. And then I don't think we need to actually do let compile time to string. I think we can just pass the environment of cargo run into here. So what that looks like, something like this. Now, this whole, I think the auto rebuild program, if any files and record changes, then we also have that. I think it's fine. Just use a crate, man. You want to set the environment variable. Yeah, so we're already using the crate, I believe, right here. If you look at the, let me close this, close that. So right here is the crate. So we're using Chrono for the crate. Let's see what else we have. And then you got the compile time. Let me see. So this is cargo, rust environment, compile time, date. But this does throw an error our way. Unresolved import of Chrono. Do we even need that there? I think we don't, right? Oh, no, we do. Okay. Why would it do that? So we'll set the compile time, date, environment, variable. All right, cool. Close that out. So how are we going to pass this environment, compile time, variable? Oh, that looks good. What does this? Yeah, that's already there in the build dependencies. So if you look at the cargo toml, it's there right here. Well, why doesn't it pick up on that? It's a different version number, but I don't think it specifies, hey, it has to be this version number. Oh, it won't work. Okay. It's a kind of a cool idea. I like the during the build process. But yes, LLMs are probably hallucinating on us once again. Yeah, have the compile time docs set up. So this crate compiles macros for getting compile time information, time, date. So I think we just set, what if we just do, instead of doing it like this, right? What if we just do a let compile time date to string? That's fine, right? Because this is during the build process. The thing I don't understand here is during the state, if we look at the top, we have Chrono for the crate. Oh, and actually it's not actually pulling in right here. Charlie, thanks for the resub. Tier 1. All right, man. Still enjoying yours and everyone's work on Linux Toolbox. Yeah. When it comes to the Rust section of it, I still want to make a video about this because it's really interesting. As you see here, I'm quite the noob with Rust. And it's really amazing just to see all the contributions from folks fixing this up and making it what it is. Because essentially we've made a framework for people to do some kind of crazy things. Like even if you just cloned this and you're a developer, it's so much better than Whiptail and all the other crap that's in Linux right now. It looks infinitely better. And it has a lot more functionality too. So this is the block, and then we're gonna do environment compile time date. That's not gonna work. If you set the variable in build RS, it will not be accessible from the compiler. Oh, I gotcha. So that's okay. That's good to know. So anyways, let's get out of the build RS. Let's come back here. So couldn't I just, since the Chrono package is there, and I think we already are using like some kind of state delivery, couldn't we just do something like that? And then at the very top, pull in Chrono, right? So right here, use Chrono local, right? Then pull that down here. But the problem is it's going to grab the library and display the date of the actual clock. This doesn't actually change anything because frankly, we're doing it all inline and now we're just setting a variable to it and then displaying the variable. So that's no good. So this is what was there. That's a more elegant solution here. Yeah, local will just grab the runtime date. Just use the crate compile time and that's it. Chrono doesn't have to have compile time macro by itself. Oh, okay, I got you. So you're saying there's an actual compile time crate. So we would just add like compile time like this for the crate. And then right here, just do use compile time instead. And then that would give us the compile time. What do you think of that? It makes sense logically to me. So compile time, date time, start. Okay. Oh, I see now. Okay, yeah. So it's date, time, and then str string like that. Now, we could, yeah. Just read the examples. Agreed. Stupid LLMs, and they're throwing me down a rabbit hole. Read an example. Read the manual, you noob. Compile time. Great. So what we'll do, you can set the compile time to right here, date time strength right here. You can set it as a variable, but we're just going to display it. Rust C version. Okay, cool. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's kind of weird that I mean, honestly, the longhand that the LLM did probably would work, but technically, let's just use what they gave us. This is actually a macro, and I think what was there beforehand was not. So that would have been no bueno. All right, cool. So one more crate. Let's just do a build, make sure this goes. So let's go cargo run. Search package name compile underscore time. Perhaps you meant compile dash time. Well, funny you mention it. I did mean that. Oh, that is all right. Where are you? Compile time underscore. No, that's a dash. It's kind of weird. One thing I don't like about Rust is the consistency in some of the crates. Sometimes people use underscores and sometimes people use hyphens. That's annoying to me, but I feel like that should be standardized. Small nitpick. All right, so then we have compile time. Candidate versions found, which did not match, 0.2 and 0.1.0. You know, let's look at the actual crate. Is 0.2.01. Okay, so we're just picking the wrong one. 0.0. Again, hallucinations from the LLM. We actually have to do it ourselves. All right, expecting an operandum. State RS, line 158. Screwed something up here. Go to state RS, 158. And of course, we did mess that up. Now what that should be is... Actually, that's shouldn't be anything. That should be that. I just added something in the middle. Screwed it up. Great. Oh. I don't like that. Okay. Well, let's try the autocorrect now. Now we know it builds. Let's see what happens when we feed it that. Let's see if it just completely hallucinates and bombs out on us. Yeah, it doesn't work. So let's read the documentation like a good person. And let's go documentation. For the strings, we want to do this format. Compile date as date string. Copy. So what that looks like, do we have an example here in here? I feel like there should be examples. I can just pass the format string direct. That'd be cool. I haven't played Deadlock. I heard a lot about it. I think it's kind of funny that like Shroud was like all about Deadlock. And I think it was Summit 1G said it was the worst game he ever played. Which is hilarious to me because both of them were CSGO players. All right. Date dash string, not date time string. Oh, date string. Honestly, if we would have just done date string, we probably don't even need to do that. If I hover over it, you got a real life example right here. Oh man, that's cool. Wow. I don't think I need that. I'm going to run it just to see what happens. Yeah, it's fine, but I don't even think you need this. I think the default is that. So let's just delete that. I right now I just want to mess around on it. Cargo run. Yeah, let's see. You don't even need that. But let's say like if you on this cargo run, just to kind of tinker with it a little bit. Let's say you come back to it and you're like, hey, you got year. Let's try to do year, month, dash, day. And if we look at that, oh, actually this should be MM. Let's see if we can consolidate. I don't want to do this, but I just want to see if I want to change the default one. What does that look like? Yeah, I didn't actually change the date at all. So this whole thing is just getting ignored or omitted. All right, so we have that. So the whole reason why I like to do year, month, day. This is a good question. I think somebody in the chat was like, why would you ever do the non-freedom unit date format? It's more from a programming standpoint or just from a analytical standpoint for me. When you're sorting things, I think the best way to illustrate this is when you're sorting things and you look at something like this Or let's just go change this into a view where we get details. Let's go view details. Not a detail view. Okay, there's a detail view. So when you're sorting, let's say this is a year. Now I have everything year right here, but the reason why you go year, month, day is when you're sorting the actual files here, well, it'll go ahead and organize them by oldest to newest without any date modified business over on this side, because it's sorting by the year first. And the next column over is the month. So then it sorts by the month, and then finally by the day. So you're always going to have a good chronological way of doing it. So that's why you always want to do year, month, day. It has nothing to do with readability, more from a sorting or analytical point of at least how I see it. So like whenever I'm doing stuff for like my videos right here, these are all the live streams I've done and how I edit them all down. I put it in a year folder because it gets kind of wild. This is like terabytes of data. So I only separate that by a year. And then I do month, day by a lot of times. Unless I'm doing like a YouTube video, I might just toss a month in there because I don't really do enough YouTube videos per day on like the main channel to justify a date, or a day format. But that's the whole point of the month, the year, month, day. That's why I like doing it that way. So yeah, let's just do a new folder just so you can see it too. So let's create a new folder, 2023 08-22 test 1. And then let's create a new folder, 2024. And then we'll call this one 01 02. And then when you're sorting this, you can see how it starts to organize. You'll see it all fall into place. So let's go 2022 01-02. So this is 2 years before that one. But you see how it just like automatically sorts it all? 2024, or let's do 2023. And let's put that 02-02. And it just automatically organizes everything perfectly for you by doing year, month, day. So that's the whole purpose of a year, month, day format. I could never use anything but a year, month, day format for pretty much anything, whether it's programming, file structures, everything. That's just how my mind works. But for the rest, day, month, year, I don't know. I just always do everything in year, month, day. So it's not the same when you do day, month, year. So when you're doing that, it's a whole different can of worms. So same thing. Let's go. So day, month. So we'll do 01-2022. All right. And let's do 12. Let's go 12/11/2022. Yeah. Still following me? Now let's create another one. Let's call this 11-11/2024. Oh, it's starting to fall apart, isn't it? So now you're starting to see the method to my madness. You don't ever want to do that. And honestly, I just don't see a point in it because I mean, reading the day and stuff, it's like, and you might look over here and go, well, Titus, over here you actually have month, day, year, and that's just because my brain's broken and that's how I learned it in school. So I put that for the display up in the upper right. Metrics or interest? Metrics, man. I'm a metrics guy. Interest, like, the only reason anybody ever uses like imperial, it's because that's all you know. You've never done metric. If you've done metric, you don't ever prefer imperial unless you're just pig-headed and stubborn. And you're like, well, this is better because then you can take the fractions and then divide that by this fractions and then change. No. I will die on that hill. Metric is just superior in every way. All right. So with that said, now that I've pissed everybody off, let's move on to that. But I liked this idea. Thanks for bringing it to my attention, Caleb. We can close this guy out. Let's go over here. Let's go GitHub Desktop, right? All right. So here's the linutil right now. We added a space in here. No, let's discard that. We have cargo lock. We do now have that. That's good. Compile times, new. We have the DWM improvements. We're going to change this up a little bit more. We're not done. And then we have now compile time instead of using chrono. Are we using chrono anywhere else in the project? Let's not leave behind trash. What are we? Activision? Shots fired at any Call of Duty gamers out there. I swear, everybody that makes Call of Duty games is just copy pasting everything and then forgetting to purge like old libraries. That's why the install's like 200 gigs on a Call of Duty game. I have a feeling it's something stupid like that because it is like no effort was put into making it even a semblance of a normal install. Oh my god. Call of Duty with like a campaign and then Warzone tacked on top's like 400 gigs or something stupid now. I don't even know. Anyways, slight gripe. But let's look for Chrono. So we have Chrono Lock and Chrono and Tommel. We're not using Chrono anywhere else in here. I think we can get rid of it. Let's not just bloat up our system with this. And Cargo Lock, I want to say, will it purge old packages and clean up stuff? I think it will if you go cargo clean, cargo run. And I want to say this should clean up any old packages. So then if we go chrono, no results found. So that purges all old packages. Anytime I'm not using something like that, just as good habit to get into, make sure we clean out our old packages so we don't screw ourselves in the future with a massive binary because we forgot what we're using. All right, so that's good. You can see chrono's removed, chrono lock. Oh, we actually had some old garbage in here. I don't know why that is, but compile time. Yeah, there's quite a few old stuff in there, but we are good now. I think we're going to do a new branch on this. We'll call this fix compile time, compile date. We'll just bring all of it to here. Let's publish this branch. We'll call this date and version fix. All right, commit and publish. So then look at me making everything kind of independent. So then we'll have this one ready to be brought in. Let's look at some other PRs too. The other one I really kind of wanted was this. It was a refactor of the theme in place. This is changing a few things and adding like the T command to change out the theming and skip ahead of the next theme. So when we're doing like a cargo run, this just changes the theming. So like if you press T or even caps T, it changes the theme. So if your icons aren't showing, let's say you're in the CLI like Arch Linux, you're probably going to want to go, okay, just show me the basic and no icons just by pressing the T command. So that's nice. Let's do a git switch main. And this one is 174. Let's switch over to the 174 branch, take a peek at LJ's commit, which would be 174. Oh, let's come over here. 174 right here. So we'll fetch it. I don't know what's going on there, but whatever. So if we look here, we're on 174. Let's do a cargo run. A little bit of a change, but nothing there. Everything builds right. So 174 looks good. These changes look all right. I don't see anything crazy. T command still works. So slight changes, but other than that, they're tested and ready to be squash and merge. So we'll do that. And I want to look at some other LJ ones too while we're here. I've learned as I'm taking stuff, I like to go on one development path first and go through each developer's PRs and then go on to the next developer, because sometimes they roll up certain things that conflict with other stuff. So then if I get halfway through and I see one developer getting a bunch of good commits and then another one kind of trips over another, it's easier to do this because these typically will honor each other. And let's go move search and filter logic. I think we're just taking this and pushing it over into, okay, this is the filter logic. This does remove the search RS field. So he's pulling in a new crate using filter, which is a little more concise, so it's not as much bloat. I'm not certain on the crates in Rust. Another thing that kind of has me like, I'm not sure if I like that or not, is using all these different crates with different dependencies, because you're pulling in all this extra code and all these extra like header files and such that, I don't know, it feels like it would make your project more vulnerable the more crates you used, because now you're relying on someone else updating code. Although at the same time, if those crates are peer reviewed and then you're using all these standardized public functions essentially to build out your project, it would just make your code base a lot less to maintain, and you can easily just reference what's publicly available. It's just an interesting thing. I look at it and I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I see the benefit in it, but I also see kind of a worry from viability in the future. Yeah, Rust has versions for the crates too. Yeah, that's true. So like if you don't want to update the crate, so not necessarily, yeah, from that point of view, Vor, you're right. You can just stick on the old version and just say, hey, I don't want to change. And essentially, Dependabot's going to look at that version if a dependency or a vulnerability is found and say, hey, this one has a known vulnerability. You might want to either update or do something else. That's cool. All right, let's switch over to 177 now. This is going to be LJ's latest one. Let's do a cargo run, make sure our PR looks good. Let's go Arch. Cool. Paru. All right, cool. Theming's still there. Firewall. Base. Yeah. Concise. LJ is pretty good, man. Usually whenever I run his stuff, I think I've only had one where I ended up breaking something and then I was trying to run it and look at it. So I like the consolidation using the filter crate now instead of that. And this Unicode width one is kind of an interesting, I don't know what Unicode width crate is. What is that doing? Let's look at that crate that he pulled in. Width Rust. All right, so what this one does determines displayed width of char and strength types according to Unicode standards and other portions of Unicode standards. Rules are determined with width section for exact rules. The crate is like this. You go and you're using it, and now you can test the strength. So you assign these two variables, test string, and then width, and then it spits out the width of it. It's kind of cool. Okay. Just checking to see what anything that's added is, how that's used. Let's approve this. Move on to the next. People use crates because they don't want to rewrite code that's already been written. I think so. It makes sense, Snow. I think that's why so many people are such Rust advocates, because I think as you build out kind of your muscle memory on a lot of the code and the crates that you use for most of your projects, you now are able to code at such a fast clip that you're instead of having let me copy this old function from a C program or something, we can pick on C on this one since everyone's moving from C to Rust these days. Instead, you just have the crates that you use, and you're like, hey, there's all my common functions that I'm using. Much like how we have a common script directory for our bash scripts that this project uses. The Rust crates I could see help improve programming speed, because then you're just like, oh, okay, I'm on this new project. Let me just toss the crate in here, bam. And then you have all your, all the functions and stuff where you got it. It's very cool. I approved it twice. So apparently I've already looked at this. Let's see, what else, does LJ have any other ones? Oh yeah, the word wrap is something I was kind of like, I don't know if I want word wrap in the window. Word wrapping in the preview window? I guess you do, because it is just the preview. Yeah, I think we do want word wrapping. So it's just going to cut off. And if you're previewing the code, you want to see what the code does. You want to see all of the code. If you're not word wrapping, you're not going to see it. So that makes sense. 202, let's make sure that works. Go 202. Fetch. Cargo run. Yeah, all right. So, so the preview window now will word wrap. Before it would not. So if you hit P to preview the script, it now word wraps. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. And then we got Soapy Dev. Soapy's kind of cool. Like, he's come up with some really cool GUI type things, which is neat. And the reduced weight of produced binary for a faster start time looks very interesting to me. And I don't see any other LJ commits. Oh, wait, no. LJ just did something 40 minutes ago. Shit. Okay, I just read it. This provides the same feature as 210. This is what I just... Okay, yeah. Okay, he was that was Calum's. However, this actually works rather than being completely broken LLM generated code. All right, let's see what LJ's code was. He's doing chrono for build dependencies. Oh, okay. So this is, so for the build dependencies, if you do like a chrono, oh, that's cool. And then he's passing it this way. So the first way we tried to do it before we just like, screw it, let's just use compile time. This is the way you do it through the build portion of it. And then you have the environment build date passed right here. That's the way it should be done. So the way we did it, technically would work because it's grabbing the compile time crate instead of using the chrono crate. But that's kind of cool. I don't know what do we like better on LJ's version of it, where it's built at runtime using chrono crate instead of the compile time crate. Then during the build Rust, I like how it separates the two. I didn't really dawn on to me until I just saw this code that there's two separate types of dependencies in Rust. You have build dependencies and then you have regular dependencies, and there's no real commingling of the two unless you explicitly pass the environment to here, where when you're doing the build on cargo, it passes the Rust environment build date to the specific string, which is called from the cargo crate. And then inside the state RS, you have the build date environment macro actually being utilized. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I like this method because the variable is only being utilized at that time, where ours, which we implemented through, oh shoot, let's just pull ours up. I think we actually did a PR. Look at us, actually. Oh no, we didn't do a PR yet. 1 second. Competing PR with what was LJ's? This is a whole different way of writing it. Let's go linutil. This is a classic programming where there's like 20 different ways to do one thing, but you're choosing which way you think is the best. So this is 221. 221. Title. This is using compile time crate to set the version date. I mean, really, it's just a bug fix using compile time crate because my smooth brain can't understand how build dependencies or passing environments from the cargo build to the project itself, like 221. I like it. So what I want to do is look at the both. We don't need to do impact either. Issues, I mean, there's probably an issue, but I don't feel like looking it up. Or additional information. It feels like the template's a little bloated. I need to change that. So let's go. Coding adheres. Self-review, we just did. Yeah, we commented the code. No documentation changes. And it does not generate any errors, so that is fine. So we're going to change, and let's look at our version that we just built compared to LJ's, which LJ, I'm sure, has way more knowledge than me on Rust, which is kind of neat. Can you reduce the zoom? Yeah, I guess it was, sorry, my grandpa eyes. All right, here we go. So what we're doing is we're removing chrono as a dependency and we're adding compile time. And, oh, yeah, see, I blended in a bunch of DWM crap in here. Unfortunate. And then really what we're doing is this compile time date string. So really ours is real concise. We're basically leaning heavily on the compile dash time cargo or crate, sorry, where LJ's is using the chrono crate to grab the date in the build dependencies, but it's not actually adding the crate to the build itself. So it's only grabbing for the build dependency to use the time, but then there is no chrono over here, where our compile time is actually in the binary. So this, as I understand it, wouldn't contribute to binary bloat because it's only used for the build process itself. And then he's passing in the build right here, build RS, he's using that crate, passing the build date with the variable, and then putting it right here. It's kind of cool, right? All right. So I like LJ's better. I think it's kind of cool. So you got to see really two different versions of doing a compile time date. I think it's just a better usage of the build dependencies, which I didn't know existed until just now. And I'm going to prove this. We'll check it out just to make sure it compiles, which I'm sure it would. Let's see. Anything used in the build.rs must be added as a build dependency specifically, since build dependencies and dependencies field and cargo are completely separate. Yeah, I did not know that. Know it now. That is neat. I really love a lot of this. So technically both solutions I'm sure will work just fine, but in the end, how do I want to? Okay, so let's, we're going to exercise our GitHub knowledge. So we have two competing versions. This one, which what checks have failed. Apparently it can't even write code correctly. What happened here? Oh, the formatting's off. So I need to run a cargo format as well because my lint failed. So there's probably like excess white space or some crap in there. All right. So what I would do here instead, let's close this PR. We still have the branch open. And then I'm going to fix up that branch and rename it. Can I rename a branch? I don't think I've ever tried. Let's go to branches. Let's go edit, rename branch. Let's rename this. And we're, God bless, come on. All right, let's go DWM fixes. We're gonna rename this branch. Come back over to here. We go to under our branches. Let's just fetch. Now under origin, we should see DWM fixes. Switch over to this branch. Then we'll come into our cargo toml. You can see our compile time right here. Get rid of it. Then all of a sudden, state RS is also having problems now. So what we're gonna do with it, I think what we can do, I'm just gonna wipe out this section. What I'm trying to do is not make a merge conflict. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna just take this. Great. So we'll save that. Now cargo FMT -- all cargo run. Great. Now let's look at the DWM fixes. So we're just getting rid of some compile time. Got that state RS that's fixed up. Remove old compile time. Commit that. Push it. Now let's come back here. If we did everything right, we won't have an actual. Yeah, mine was definitely more simple with the compile time fix. However, the reason why I didn't like mine over LJ's, both I think are sufficient. And frankly, we're nitpicking on this. Some developers are going to use compile time. Some developers are going to use build dependency with chrono. The reason why I liked the LJ branch better was because since it's separated out into build dependencies, it's one less crate that's sitting in the dependencies. And I like that. That tells me that it feels like less bloat to me. That, and I really like the idea of during the build, it passing the environment of the date of the build to the program itself, and the program itself doesn't have like a mutable variable or anything that it could change. It just says, oh, here's the environment build date. I'm going to use that. And I really like that idea better. I feel it's just a better flow. Whether or not it is or isn't, in my brain, that's my thought process behind choosing it to use this branch over mine. I think both would be sufficient. Just two different ways of accomplishing the task. I just feel like that way is just a little better. Okay. So now we have that. We go compile this one, DWM fixes, bam. Honestly, I don't think this is ready for a PR. I kind of want to mess around with this PR just a little bit more, but let's like look at the code. You can see all we're changing now is that and this down here. So I don't see an issue with this. Let's grab LJ's one. I'm going to work on the DWM fixes another day, probably. As there's still more I really want to do to kind of polish that out, because there's display manager, XORG dependencies that we need to double check. There's a lot of different other things, and grabbing all that for different distributions is going to take, it's more tedious. I just don't feel like doing that. All right. So let's do that. Squash and merge. And then our main looking pretty clean with those. Let's do a git pull, cargo run. Oh, let's go pull, cargo run. And now we have the specified date at the top. So no longer is it just going to display the date. It'll actually be the proper compile date. Very neat. Very neat. I really like kind of exploring and finding some of these neat workarounds and such. There's a lot of nuance, and I think it'll probably still be many months before I feel comfortable with Rust. But I think we'll just keep hammering at it, and I think little by little, each time I do one of these streams where we're messing around a little bit with the Rust code, I want to pick up stuff. And this stream, I think, bore a lot of fruit, specifically with cargo, understanding build dependencies. I mean, cargo format is also another one. Like when you're doing this, I feel like this needs to be run before actually doing a commit every single time, because the cargo format, I think, as I understand it, cleans up a lot of like white space and unnecessary bloat that happens in your program, and it keeps the formatting good. So always doing that probably before a commit would be needed. But yeah, and I'm going to keep reading too. The Rust book I have, I think I'm going to swap out soon. I might go through the rest of it, but this last chapter I read, I absorbed nothing from. It was hard. It was hard, and there was not much. It was kind of a slog getting through it. And at the end of it, I was like, I don't think I picked up one thing from this entire chapter. And that's kind of a bummer when you get through those. And that's, I think, there's not going to be one book that just does it for you. And I'm just going to get through the rest of the book, the Rust book, as I can. I think it was like around chapter 9. It was, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. It was trying to think, give you an example of what the book was talking about, where I was just like, okay. Types was really good. Understanding the heap and stack. I don't know how useful that is. That was starting to kind of get a little fuzzy. And then the chapter right after heap and stack, where it does like memory allocation, I was just like, kind of out. I had to reread it a couple times, and I was like, all right, I'm going to just say I don't pick anything up from this chapter, and we're going to move to the next. And that's what I ended up doing on that. I mean, I read it, but I didn't retain any of it. So I don't even know if you can count that. Yeah, you need to know those. You do. It's just hard to quantify, especially when you're starting out. You're just like, okay. I know they're important. I mean, better than when I started, but understanding the nuance of it, I don't think you can really grasp it 100% until you actually use code where it matters whether or not you're pulling from the heap or the stack. And I haven't done that. At least I haven't done it and known I'm doing it in a way that matters. And it's not until you do that, I think, before it really clicks. So it hasn't clicked. Yeah. It will help with your C and C++. I think there's a lot of knowledge that does go between the two, for sure. A lot of this, when I'm going and coding, I've noticed really some parallels between the two languages. And I'm not very good at either of these languages, mind you. I just thought it was kind of neat to see the parallels, where I think if you master one language, it's so much easier to get the next one. That's why I'm probably so good with scripting, because I've scripted so much in my career that, I've written thousands of scripts. So when it comes to bash scripting or PowerShell scripting, I just understand it at such a deep level that I can do some really cool stuff. Sign up for a free LinkedIn. Go watch some Rust Essential videos for 6 hours on Lynda. I remember using Lynda. I was last time I used Lynda. Oh my gosh, Snow, you're gonna love this. This was it was, oh god, what was it? It was we needed a contract system at a business, and they were like, "Hey, I want to do a file system, and we need to get it up and operational in 5 days. We need you to code all this." And I was like, "Sure, there's nothing I can't do in 5 days. You give me enough money and time. 5 days is plenty of time." So I was like, "All right." So I ended up doing, I think it was like FileMaker, was it? I want to say it was like FileMaker. It was like an Apple product. Is this what it was? No, that's not it. Unless it's something different. It feels like that would be, or just click on all the Google hats. I want to say there was a FileMaker. It looks like it got bought out, but yeah, this was it. So I guess some company bought this out. It was more than 10 years ago now when I was using this, but I learned the FileMaker series from Lynda at work. I was like, "Hey, my boss was like, 'Hey, I found this FileMaker program. I don't know anything about it, but it seems pretty simple.'" And it was like, I don't know, like a Fisher-Price version of Access is the best way to put my FileMaker back in the day. And I remember getting on Lynda and looking it up and learning it in, probably a day or so. And then I just started putting everything in, and I understand like database and organization between the two with the columns. So I started associating it all, and we ended up building like a contract system in something like a week. And yeah, it was kind of fun. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything super pretty. And I want to say we did like some kind of cloud hosted deployment of it, so multiple people could look at the contracts at the same time. It was a simple solution. It was a fast solution, and it used some really crappy proprietary software. I wasn't a big fan of it, but at the end of the day, we got it done. Okay, well, the thing is, when you're on a time crunch, I think a lot of people forget this aspect of business. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how it gets done. It's just the fact it gets done. So if you can do it the correct way in 3 months, or you can do it in a half-assed kind of thrown together way, but they accomplish the same task, but you could do the half-assed thrown together way in 2 days compared to 2 months. Just do the half-assed thrown together way in 2 days. Why? I mean, they're both going to accomplish the same task. So you got to realize sometimes practicality is a big point of this. Now, obviously, when it comes to like programs that I make, I really like it to be done correctly and serviceable and good to go. But, when in business and you're under the gun, man, and sometimes it's good knowing all the different avenues you can take and all the little levers you can pull to get shit done quick, because that's so powerful, depending on what happens. So I always love learning different ways of doing things, especially to see what could be the most expeditious way to getting things done. Isn't doing things half-assed going to make problems later? It depends. This is where you have to use a judgment call. If it's something simple, like in the example I gave, which I considered half-assed, was using FileMaker to do some kind of contract deployment system. We were trying to track when contracts would be up. We had a ton of government contracts for the business I was doing, and they were using an Excel spreadsheet to track all these different contracts. And I was like, that's stupid. And that's already
problematic. Like that's where they're at. So Excel spreadsheets don't have reminders. They don't have any kind of smart, hey, this field's not plugged in. I mean, you can add like pivot tables and stuff. Don't come after me, Excel people. But Excel's usually an awful solution, and it's super hacky a lot of times. There's usually a way better solution. So in this case, FileMaker, which is still kind of a half-ass solution if you ask me, it had an entry point so the front office admin could insert all the stuff. And then it would say, hey, you didn't fill out this field. Make sure you fill it out. And then it had a good filtering system. So then you can see, hey, here's my net 30 that I got to look at. Here's all the contracts coming up. Make sure these calls are done for like the sales team, and that can get pushed over so the sales guys could look at it. When you're doing all this in Excel spreadsheet, yes, you can kind of do this with like a pivot table, but super jank. Where the FileMaker solution, still a half-ass solution if you ask me. It's light years better than Excel. Yeah, there's still some problems that come with that half-ass solution, but it's still a lot better than Excel. So it just depends on where you're at in your business or whatever you're doing. What solution do they have now? Chances are they don't have any solution, and what they're doing is just complete shit. And if you can make it better by doing a half-ass solution and taking away a lot of the problems of the other crappy way of manually doing things, which businesses usually do, you should do the half-assed way. And then maybe look at the future, like do the half-assed quick way. And then maybe, let's say I was going to stay at that business for like 10 years. I'd kill myself if I still had to deal with FileMaker today. But let's say I was still there. Damn, you gotta better believe I would have come up with even a better solution and developed that would have a bigger staying power and fix a lot of the shortcomings that the FileMaker solution would come up with. So it just depends. Like, never think that there's only one way of doing things. And sometimes the fast and easy way, you should do that for now, and then look at improving upon that and then doing something even better down the road. But don't kill yourself, you know? That's my thoughts on it. Do it perfectly at the start. You gotta, if it's in a better place than when you started, you're doing a good job, even if it is half-assed. And then you improve on that half-assed job down the road. But if you strive for perfection when you first start out, you're never going to get anywhere. With any kind of complex solution, let's just be real here. Here's the problem with most people today, why most employees are just completely worthless. They strive for perfection, so they're scared to death of even starting. And that is the death sentence of any person. It's how you have just no worth to a company or a business. You have to be able to just get shit done. Sometimes it's going to be ugly. Sometimes it's going to be half-assed. Sometimes it's not going to be the best. But usually it's a better start. When you get into the, hey, it has to be perfect right out of the gate, you're probably one of the worst employees out there. You just can't do that. You got to get shit done. In the real world, and sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's not the best. Most times my code is terrible, but it works. And that's the thing that matters the most. I think that's the biggest thing I can say. I am not pragmatic. I am a very pragmatic person. Definitely polar opposites here. But yeah. I'm the guy you come to and you're like, hey, we got to get this done. And I'll be like, all right, what are the time constraints? What are my financials? All right, I got $100,000 to work with. I got 2 weeks to do it in. All right, cool. Let's get it done. I'll find a way to get to the end. Sometimes that solution's not pretty. Sometimes it's beautiful. I've had a mix of all of the stuff in between. But at the end of the day, there's never been a time where I said, this will be done at this time, and I miss it. I am the guy you come to, and I get it done. And, you know, in that same realm, one thing I love about what I'm doing now is this Linux toolbox. I can't wait to make a video. This will be one of the biggest bash scripts in the world. By the time I'm done with it, that's where this is going to be. You're going to see just such a compilation of things that is just going to compile on itself. And I can't wait for you to see it in 1 year. I know it doesn't look like much now, but damn it, give me time. You give me time and resources, I can make some crazy shit happen. And that's where this is going to be. Much like the Windows Toolbox started from very humble beginnings, that's where this is going. And I'm just going to keep hammering away. Some of the things I'm going to do, you're going to be like, Titus, were you drinking? Are you on drugs? Because that was awful. And I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me know that was awful. I'll go fix it. It is never done. Well, there's going to be spots where you can use every single release. And I can't wait to look back in a year from now, probably 50 to 100 releases from this release. Pull up this release and go, oh my God, look at this. This is so awful. This is the worst program in the world. But look at what it is now. And that's so much fun. I love it. I just love the aspect of the creation, the refinement, and the teardown and rebuild. And then you just do that over and over and over and over and over again. And that entire process I'm obsessed with. Big docs PR, not on Linutil. WinUtil's to a spot. With Linux Utility, I don't even know where the hell this is going. We're just building. We're doing it. It changes a lot. It feels like we're really starting to hone in on something amazing here. And it's really starting to kind of fly. And every week it feels like, okay, we got a little bit more. Got a little bit more. And it's starting to move. But documentation, I don't know, hold off 6 months, I'd say, and see where we're at in 6 months. And then we'll really know this is where we want to be. And I need to make a video. But having said that, I think we're going to shut it down for the day. Man, this was fun. I had a blast. I love doing this stuff. It's just a blast. I tell you what. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and keep working on it. I'm not the fastest usually, but we'll just keep hammering away. All right, y'all. Have a good one. See y'all in the next one tomorrow. I'll get on. We'll start streaming a little bit. Try and get on a little earlier. I know today I was a little bit late. I was being lazy. And, again, I could have I phoned it in. It's Labor Day. I was like, I don't know if I feel like streaming today. But then I was like, no, come on, you lazy bastard. Get after it. So it is holiday. It's a little shorter stream, but I didn't want to skip out today as I think we got some cool stuff. I mean, the compile time thing in Rust and understanding chrono and build dependency, that was cool. Doing a little few DWM fixes, getting that branch going. I'm going to work on that a little bit more. And then I'll probably do a pull request on the DWM fixes. And I'll try and finish that later tonight. And then for tomorrow, we might pop over. What's WinUtil looking like these days? I didn't even check on it yet today. Is that right here? About 14 PRs, 30 issues or so. I don't see anything too much here, too pressing. I'll take a look at what all we got going on, but overall, a lot of drafts in the PRs over here. So we'll see what I end up with. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Peace.